the rocket ships, AI. Look, when I wrote the book and I was talking about the fourth industrial revolution, AI wasn't there, but it is now. So, there's no doubt that I didn't see, but pretty much the fourth industrial revolution is not about flying cars. It's not about things that are not within reach for us. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point in talking about the fact that we're in the fourth industrial revolution if we can't do anything about it? If we can't use the fourth industrial revolution, then it's just stuff that like rich people do or stuff that like big corporates do. There's no point. So if we're going to say, well, what is the fourth industrial revolution? It incorporates three things. And we are in the fourth industrial revolution right now. It is the technology that we use to work. It is the technology that we use to communicate with clients and colleagues. And it is, thirdly, how we treat those that we work with. Now, the whole technology thing, and the reason why I have, did anybody work out what this is? Huh? It's a moat.
Yeah.
It's a moat. Because
I thought it was a digital image as well.
Oh, is it? So, like Minecraft. So up until this point, we wanted to have a startup. Well, how do we become as big as that massive company over there? We couldn't, because technology and getting to the office and having marketing campaigns, it was out of reach. You needed budget. You needed a big server in the basement. All these things that you needed to be able to get the Bank of England as a client, you could never knock on the door of the Bank of England to say, hey, we're from South Africa, we want to do business with you, we're the best in the world. Okay, cool. Bring us to your country, show us your big office. So the moat of being able to present yourself at the level that they can present themselves at is gone. It's gone. Technology has evened the playing field. Cloud computing has evened the playing field. LinkedIn has evened the playing field. Being able to find the clients quickly. Hi Tina, I see you doing this and that. Just want to make you aware of this little product that we came out with. Thought you might like it. Tina's the head of the biggest client in the world that might actually like your product. Hey, I like that. Cool. Oh, can we do a demonstration? The moat is completely gone. So that's great. Okay, so that is the fourth industrial revolution. All right. So, if we're going to look at the mega gig economy and we're going to launch a business, okay, what are our options to launch a business? There's pretty much like three things that we can do if we are going to leave being an employee. Because being an employee is great. I wish I could have gotten paid enough to not want to leave being an employee. Huge buildings, building your way up, people love you, walking through this glass corridors, you've got the little basket over there that has the croissants with the cheese and the meat, exactly where it is, only like 65 Rand for half a croissant. It's not bad, you can afford it. Love those little croissants. You go to your meetings, you're progressing, people dig you, you got your bicycle, you're doing your dance club, they got a track on the roof. It's unbelievable to be an employee. Why would anybody not want to be an employee if you're getting paid? Walk around like you're walking on water. It's unbelievable. However, it can only get you so far. So as I say, I wish I could have that. I didn't. So I had no choice. I had to launch a venture. I had a recruitment business before Virtual Actuary. It recruited actuaries. It was successful in that it kept me alive for a few years, but it didn't make much money, and Virtual Actuary was my second business. Before that, I was hustling in all different businesses. So if you don't want to be an employee and you want to launch a business, what are your options? Okay, cool. So this is where we are now. The first one is you can open a small corporate. This is the one that most people do. What is a small corporate? Okay. You want to launch a business. Okay, I can't do it alone. I've got some friends. These three guys or these three colleagues that I used to work with. Come, I've got a business idea. Okay, cool. Get together. Say, okay, how are we going to do this? Well, we need an office space. We need a reception area. We need salaries. So now you start to think about how you're going to open this business, the budget, the business plan, all these things. This is totally normal if you're going to launch a business. Otherwise, I mean, you have to survive. So, the normal business model that most people go for is the corporate business model. Why? It's because it's kind of like all we know. Okay, so if you're looking at it from a business perspective, remember I said before, you've got the business is opening the business, and then you've got the workers that work in the business, okay? So if you're gonna open as a business, as a corporate business model, you need an office. Why do you need an office? Because basically you have to monitor the workers. You have to see what everybody is doing. You need money to pay for rent. All of these things are going to make sense. You need money for equipment, you need money for salaries, you need bookkeeping. These are your like stock standard things that you need if you're going to run a business. And then inevitably what generally happens is you start talking about, well, how are we going to pay for all of this? Okay? I've only got enough savings for a certain amount of time. If we're going to have bookkeeping and salaries, you start talking about an investor or a loan from the bank. This is your stock standard stuff. Nothing like crazy going on here at the moment. And generally, the owners of the business will share the equity and the expenses. So you'll start sitting around and you say, okay, this is how it's going to work. There's 5 of us, we'll split it 5 ways, we'll share the risk, we'll share the expenses, and this is your like stock standard, how do we launch a business model, I think. I could be wrong. I think that's generally how it works. Okay. But you're already looking at an investor because ultimately how are you going to pay for all this stuff? Then, if you're going to bring people in, they generally need to also come to the office to be told what to do, and they need to go to where the money is being paid. So the 4th Industrial Revolution did open that up a little bit slightly, but before COVID, a lot of companies didn't like this whole hybrid thing. They didn't like the fact that they couldn't watch people and monitor people. Generally, they got office space. They didn't want people working from home. This is where we are. This is where we hang out. Stock standard stuff going on here, okay? But that is very money, it eats up a lot of the money, and that's a huge problem if you don't have money. So if you don't have money, you have to go get money. So before you even got started, you're giving away most of your business. Like, why? Why are you doing that? Surely there's got to be another way. All right, so we'll get there. Okay. How would you market the business? How would you tell people about the business? You would go to conferences to have a stand, or you would invite clients to your fancy office for presentations or golf days. Stock standard stuff. Not talking about anything crazy here, just like, how are we going to do this, guys? Okay? The problem is, it's expense heavy. starting to sweat already. Office, handouts, golf days, what's the budget? You know what I mean? It's starting to get serious around here. It's a big problem. There's risks. Now, what else are the risks? Because it's all great when it's going well and you're printing money, because we all want to print money, obviously. It doesn't quite work that way. Not 95% of the time. Now, I don't know how true it is that 95% of startups fail or not. 65%, whatever it is, doesn't matter. The most important thing is that most startups fail. That's a big problem. Why? What are they doing wrong? Well, they're probably doing this. So, what are the risks in doing this? In most cases, you're stuck with the equity partners. So there you were, you're speaking to people, you bring them together, now you realize the one person is always sick. Or the one person is not carrying their weight, or whatever the case may be, you're generally stuck with them. You went, you did the memorandum of incorporation, their shareholder agreement, you've divided the thing. Now you hate the person that you're with, you're stuck with them. Of course, if you get fancy, you can have clauses that, shares nurture, mature, and they can get out of it if they're not performing KPIs, if you're that smart. Most people don't do that kind of stuff. All right. And in a lot of cases, you're stuck with the investor or the loan. I mean, if back in the day, you would go for dinner to people's houses, like big businessmen, businesswomen. You would go there, they'd show you around. You said, this is unbelievable, it's beautiful. Yeah, look at my car, yeah, look at the factory. He says, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I actually work for the bank. The bank owns all this stuff. I'm just servicing the loan. But I'm going to keep it going because I can't get out of it. I promise you that happened more than once to me. And that's the problem. Who wants to start a business where you're stuck in loans? It's not a way to live, in my opinion. All right. We're back to Virtual Actuary. All right. What else is out there? Let's dig around, let's shop around. What else we got here? Any comments so far? Okay. So now this thing came around, the gig economy. Oh, what a revolution. I get it. You don't have to own the stock, you don't have to own the car, you don't have to own the hotel. Freelancers. So now again, you got the business side of things and you got the worker side of things. How does the whole gig economy thing work? The freelancers taken off. Upwork, Fiverr, all these things. We work now, shared office space. It's kind of like, oh yeah, he's a designer, she's a designer. It always seems like they're on holiday. Yeah, they're not tied down. Freelancers. What a revolution. Fair enough. Fair enough. So we've got the past, the present, and the future. So in my opinion, the corporate, don't know what happened there. Let's see. Slideshow. Yeah, let's just move it along. All right. So, we've got the past, the present, and the future. In my opinion, the corporate world was the past. 1980s, 1990s, the year 2000 thinking. It's 2024. Surely, that can't be what we're going to do now for the next 15 years. So the present seems to be more so now the gig economy. Okay, what's this all about? So, from a business perspective, we're going to open a gig economy business. All we have to do is create an online platform like Uber, or Bolt, or Airbnb. Genius. Netflix, kind of like the gig economy, pay-as-you-go movies instead of, say, Steak-Kinnical, okay? So we could create an online platform in a particular industry. We'll be heroes. It's very transactional. In my industry, this is, if you're a business and you need the service, you come to us. We've got all the people that do that thing. You tell them what the price is. People will pitch for the work. You book it, they pay, we get a fee. It's quite transactional. I need a driver. The drivers sign up. It's like ABC, one client at a time. Very like flat and very transactional. Okay? Now, back to the fourth industrial revolution. Technology has enabled remote work. It's very useful because it means that if you're going to have gig economy people, they don't have to be coming to your office. So what's starting to happen with this gig economy thing is people are starting to say, okay, hold on a second, we don't need that huge office. We don't need these things. It's software. Okay, so it's the freelance thing. Okay, so we're starting to shed some of the risks that were associated with the corporate world. This is a good thing. Okay? It's very transactional, number one, from a business perspective. From a business perspective, one of the problems is you don't really have the loyalty of the freelancers. It's neither here nor there. You know, you can't go to Disney World and tell them you'll run their entire bookings department with your platform. Because another platform could come around and people will leave and they'll go through there. So you don't really have like the loyalty of the freelancers, and it's also difficult, and this is a very important point, it's difficult to monitor the quality of the people doing the work. Like from a brand perspective, you have absolutely no idea what's going on with the work. I mean, you know, you hear like horror stories. Yeah, Uber, yeah, Bolt, this is what happened to me. What are you going to do about it? Damn your business, I'm not coming back. It's actually quite difficult to monitor that stuff. They should have done better. Does it destroy the brand? Does it not? I don't know. But the point is very difficult to monitor the quality of the work. Okay, so from an individual perspective, remember now we've moved from wanting to be an employee to wanting to actually work, because there's two sides here. As an individual, in the gig economy, in the freelance economy, you are trying to get your rate as high as possible. You used to work on a salary. You know, if you're on a salary, try not to work out what your rate per hour is. You're gonna go straight to the doctor to get some depression medication. From a rate per hour perspective, it doesn't work out great, but it is a guaranteed salary. It's very good. But if you're a freelancer, you're trying to get your rate as high as possible. That's how the whole thing works. It's all about the reviews. Now, one of the things about being an individual is that you can feel, if you're going to work as a gig economy person working alone, is that you're going to start to feel isolated and not part of a team. So that whole office culture is gone. That vibe. Hey, Walter, how's it going, bro? Hey, how's that? You start to feel quite alone. The digital nomad sounds sexy until you haven't seen anybody for 2 years. You haven't shaved or whatever, you know. Feel free. Okay, so on a plus side, you feel free for the first time. Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So there's pluses and minuses in all of this stuff, okay? Now, the key here, if you are going to work as an individual and you want to be a superstar and you want to sit at dinner and say like, this is what I'm doing, and you cannot scale yourself. It's just you. You get clients, you get your rate, but you've only got 160 to 220 hours a month that you can work. You try and get that rate as high as possible. But at a certain point, your earnings are going to get capped. You can't scale. How do you scale this thing? So, if we're going to open a business, the first thing we need to try and decide is, do we want to make nice money, or do we want to potentially build like an unbelievable business? It's quite different, you know, like the vision has to be different. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with just wanting to have a smaller business, and you know, if that's, you know, if that's the goal, like if that was my goal and I was doing that, I would be happy. The problem is I have OCD, and like I want more, and like once I get into something, like I totally want to take it to that next level. Okay, so what happened? So I was working as a recruiter of actuaries. LinkedIn destroyed recruitment for LinkedIn destroyed recruitment for recruiters, because why do the companies have to come to me as a recruiter when they can go to LinkedIn? I had like no money. It was quite a difficult time. 2015, 2016, 2017, I wasn't making any money. It was a disaster. So what do? You start to think and think. I went through 4 different, so I did the pivot, the sexy pivot. Everyone thinks a pivot is so sexy. If the word pivot is in your life is like, your business has come to an end. You don't want to be doing a pivot. You don't ever want to be thinking, I pivoted. So I changed direction. So what you're saying is everything that you've got at the moment is like dirt, and like you're now going to try something new. Yes. Disaster. Unfortunately, I had to pivot. So pivot doesn't happen overnight. It took like 2 years of 4 different ideas I was going to do. And it had to be with actuaries. I was going to do car branding for actuaries because I was so out of ideas. Somebody came with that idea and I even thought about it. I considered it. Car branding for actuaries. No. Actuaries don't want to brand their SLK. Definitely not. Like, come by Oros. I see it on my SLK. Driving into like Investec or Orenberg. Deutsche Bank. Hey Tina, I see you like got the Fruity Loops, eh? Yeah, for sure. Should see the rate they're paying me, eh? Are these mags, eh? Sponsored by, I don't know, Dove soap, you know what I mean? It's a shocker. It wasn't going to work. Then I went with a monthly gift pack for actuaries. Not bad. Create your own distribution channel. I know all the actuaries. Can I get 100 actuaries to agree to receive a bag? Get 5 companies to give them product. We'll sponsor the products. If I can make 1,000 Rand sponsorship a bag by giving 100 actuaries or 1,000 actuaries a bag of product a month, I have a whole distribution warehouse, I could make 100,000 Rand a month. It's not bad. Until somebody, and as I said, I dissected these ideas, until somebody pointed out that, well, the actuaries are going to lose their licenses for getting bribed every month. Oh, that was a good insight. Good thing we didn't open that business. So we cased that idea. Then I was going to go with credit card for actuaries. Spoke to American Express. Didn't work. Then I was going to go with, I even advertised for tailors. My actuary tailor. Okay, hold on. You're an actuary, you don't have time to get tailoring, and you know, you kind of clothes and go to the reception. I'm here for Walter, and you're at the change station, and brilliant idea. All right. And then I was sitting, and Saturday night I thought of virtual actuary. Okay, so what is virtual actuary? So, in dealing with the actuaries, I realized that the independent actuaries that are consulting actuaries have one main problem. They cannot scale. Why? Because they're so busy working they don't have time to market themselves. They try and boost the rate so that if it dips and they can't find work, then they'll be able to balance it out. They cannot scale. That's the main problem. Okay. So how do you get them to scale? Well, what happens if we formed a consortium of independent actuaries? Independent freelance actuaries which work together exactly the same as a big, large consulting firm. But we were a lean business. We didn't have the office space. Digital, fourth industrial revolution. Everybody works from home or inside the client's office. We could, in theory, pitch for work as a team at half the price. That's not bad. Okay, we're getting somewhere, all right. And how about this? Instead of me paying you a quarter of the charge-out rate, or a fifth, or the sixth, or whatever it is, I won't give you a guaranteed salary, but if we get work and we bill it out, I'll give you 82% of what the client pays. It's not a bad deal. Getting somewhere. Okay, cool. So I spent 2017 bringing together 10 independent actuaries, freelancers, and by October, November, December, they committed. Okay, Adi, if you can get us work under this virtual actuary banner, we will do the work, and we'll take 82%, you can take 18. Excuse me. Now initially, in order to entice them, I said to them, I'll take 10, and they can get 90, but the contract is 82. So that was quite a nice enticement, okay? And so that's what happened. So ultimately, the future of work, in my opinion, is the mega gig economy. Why? Why is that? Okay, so if you think about it, if you look at any business and the different department heads, if they so now you've got these 4 department heads, they're on salaries, they're literally running the whole business. Take those 4 department heads and put them over here and tell them, how about this? I won't pay you a salary, but we'll have a revenue sharing arrangement. And when money comes into the business, we'll split the money. You're doing exactly the same work in exactly the same way. The only difference is you're not a salaried employee. We'll split the money. I'm not going to move over to the next slide, but that's basically what the next slide is. Revenue sharing. That's what it's all about. Okay. So, any questions? Anything?
Questions? Yeah, I think there are some questions, because there should be questions by this stage. I think there's some great questions potentially. Cassandra, and then Shin.
Adi, thank you so much for sharing. So you enticed the actuaries and said you get 90% of whatever money comes in, you'll get 10%, but how did you know there was business coming in?
Okay. So, the first thing is that the independent actuaries are already independent. They're already hustling for their own work. So initially in the contract with them, there was not an exclusivity arrangement. If I can find, you're still hustling. If I can find you work, is it okay if I take 18% but I only start with 10? They're hustling for work anyway. Yeah, sure. You can bring me work, go for it. Cool. So that's how it happened initially. And then what happened from October, November, December, 2017, once I had 10 people, because you have to be able, if you're going to bluff and say to a client, we're open for business, and they go, is it? Let's talk. Sit at the table. That's a bluff. You better be able to sit at that table and bring 2 or 3 quality people to the table, talk to the client. So October, November, December 2017, I made 400 phone calls to all the most senior actuaries in South Africa that were hiring managers. Because I had worked as a recruiter, I was already working with them anyway as a recruiter. It's the same conversation. Hey, Adi, I need an actuary in life insurance valuations that can do this at this level. I want to hire them full time. Okay. Hey, remember when you used to say to me that you want a life actuary evaluations full time with 10 years of experience? Yeah? You still need them? Yeah? I've got someone for you. But instead of you hiring them, you can just like rent them from me as a consulting firm. So that's what happened. 400 phone calls, and then in the January they started funding back. In February we picked up the first client. So that's kind of how it went. So you have to, if you're gonna like put this consortium together, the onus is on you to bring the work in. And in time, it becomes an exclusive arrangement. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question then, how do you navigate what is the tax payable for independent freelancers
Yeah.
in this big economy?
So what happens is that, it's a great question, and I didn't even put it here because it's quite a technical question, but okay, so what happens is these independent actuaries do not issue an invoice, even if they have a company. The reason they don't issue an invoice is because SARS has something called Practice Note 32. SARS Practice Note 32 says that if that person has a business, and that business does not, it used to be the 80-20 rule. I'm not getting 80% of my work from you, I'm going to send you an invoice. I don't work for you. But what happened over 20 years was that I would get work from Deutsche Bank for R1 million for this person for the year. They would get 820,000 rand. My revenue would be R1 million. 820 would go straight out the door because this guy sent me an invoice. At the end of the year, I would do my tax calculation on profit, and really it was profit of 2 million rand or profit of 1.5. They didn't get any tax on the revenue, but it was only like on the profit because most of it went out the door. So then they said, well, what's the story? You did 35 million in revenue, but you're only really calculating revenue on whatever, 3. Why? Why are you paying 200,000 rand? What happened to the 32 million? Well, got an invoice from so-and-so. Go speak to so-and-so. Okay, let's go speak to so-and-so. Hey, where's the tax? Close that business down. People would have CCs. So they would never pay the tax. Why? Because they would hire their nanny and their sister and their granny and their mother, and they would expense all these people as salaried employees on all their own revenue. So SARS got hurtful. And I said, forget about it. Practice Note 32. That company is a PSP, a personal services provider. If the company is a PSP, they can't send you an invoice. The onus is on me to actually hold back the 29% tax, PAYE. The rate is 29% starting point. Depending on what they earn, it goes much higher than that, okay? 29%. But the onus is on me to be registered for PAYE, and gross, less your PAYE, I pay you the net. Now, as a freelancer, as a PSP, you can also expense expenses in a business capacity, cell phone, portion of your house, all that stuff, but it would be part of your annual tax return, expenses claimed back instead of ongoing expenses as part of a business expense. But you would have legitimate expenses as a freelance contractor. Okay. So.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's definitely still the case.
And where does that 29% reside?
Yeah, so what happens is, on a monthly basis, this person's earned 200,000 rand. In my tax calculation, it's 200,000 less 32%. And on a monthly basis, when we pay SARS, the PAYE, on the 2nd of the month, we pay a bulk, and then basically their RP IT3, which is, so they don't get an RP5, they get an IT3.
Got it.
It cross-references their tax number with how much PAYE they pay the whole year. So we pay it on their behalf. And the reason is, because SARS never used to get their tax. That's the problem. If they don't want to be considered a PSP, the main litmus test is, does that company hire 3 people that is registered for PAYE that are not related to the owner of the business? Then you can actually send an invoice.
So you're paying the freelancers 82% of your earnings after tax?
No. So what happens is, yes, exactly. So it's 82% less the tax is the net amount. So the client pays 100%. The 18% is ours as like a company revenue or company profit in a way. So they would get 82 of what the client pays.
Wait, I'm not following.
So
So
82% is cost of sale.
no, but I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out, is it before or
Yeah.
after tax?
Before.
It's before tax.
Oh.
It's before tax.
Okay, so the business is taking the loss then.
No.
Well, yeah. So
They're
compare.
absorbing that cost that the consultant would have paid.
Yes, exactly. But they're the ones that have earned it anyway.
Yeah.
They've earned it. But you should see the PAYE bills were ridiculous every month. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
can imagine.
very hard. But I didn't earn it. It's not. It's now. If I was a corporate business, it would feel much worse. Much worse. Because you'd like just, okay, I'm gonna hire you, but I'm just burning this money every month. Whereas you're a freelancer, so there's certain like benefits to having a consortium and keeping people as freelancers, okay, and not full-time employees, and then it's actually they've earned that PAYE. So okay, so let's. Are there any other questions?
Jess,
Yeah.
did you were shaking your head just for
Yeah.
a minute, and then Ash, and yes, he was first. Yeah, can we just take?
You can go ahead first.
You sure?
Yeah.
Ash or Des? I don't know. Des, did you want to say something?
No, I'm just trying to figure. Sorry, I'm back on the 82% now. So I mean, so 82% is allocated to the employee, or to the not employee, the freelancer.
Yeah.
But on that 82%, he 29% gets deducted, or 32% gets deducted, and he gets the balance of that, right? And 18% goes to your company, and you pay taxes on that.
The
Right?
corporate tax.
Corporate tax. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I
That's
just
the
wanted to clarify,
difference.
'cause I don't-
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's why I saw you, and I thought that's what you were going to say. Ash.
Yeah, so obviously you have some sort of vetting process to get like the best actuaries, right? Or at least they're living up to criteria that you build. But that obviously means that they sort of very likely, well not very likely, but companies would probably want to poach them potentially, and that exists within your business. That's probably one of your bigger risks within the business. Or how do you manage that? Is that from a contractual perspective that you manage that? So your
It's part of a
clients-
what perspective?
Contractual perspective from with your clients, like in terms of they have to pay you like a recruitment tax if they do take or anything like that, because you come from that industry.
Yeah.
You probably build something in.
Yeah, it's a great technical question. So every single company is always under threat that their competitor is going to take away their people. Always. This IP that you've built up, gone. Okay? It's aggravating. So in order to mitigate that, so there's two things. One is a competitor going to take them, or are they going to move into the company that, okay. So firstly, as far as the companies themselves, we have a no poaching arrangement. Okay? And like I'm a really nice guy. But if they do poach the people, we take it very, very seriously. Like we're willing to like burn the house down, basically. Like it's unacceptable. And I will, it's ruined the relationship. It is unacceptable. We are not a recruitment facility for them. The reason they're using us as a consulting firm is because their recruitment is not working. I'm not going to bring the best of the best in who's working across multiple other clients, and then this client thinks they're going to take them from us. So I'll burn that place down, and the contract and all the money we're making there, like, we won't do work with you. So you have to be on the front foot if you're going to, like, play that card. What's the front foot? We're the best in the business. We're the cheapest in the business. You've got a big smile on your face since you started working with us. And everyone in that business knows it. So if you ruin that relationship, you can go pay the big 4 fees. You're not getting the quality, you're paying 4 times the price, and you're angry. So you start to teach the clients and train the clients that you are the best, you've got the best team. We have a 1% staff turnover rate. Okay. Our competitors have a 35% staff turnover rate. What that gives you is a core team that works cohesively together, projects just seamless. No dropping the ball, no fires, nothing. Why? Because people are getting remunerated correctly, you can hire the best, you're the employer of choice, clients are paying half the fee for a service that's much better. So they wouldn't, like they must be scared of us, like, if they try and pull that off. Because, you know what? That's the game you play. We don't play that game. You've ruined the relationship. We would not want to do business with you.
Is it contractually written?
It is, actually. It is, but...
Well, I mean, I thought it would have to be.
Yeah, but let's not forget is that...
Is this a gentleman's agreement?
No, it's contractually written, but you're not going to be taking anybody to court.
Okay.
Like contracts are there for people that have never been to court.
Yes.
Okay, they don't think, I've got a contract. Yes, it's not worth anything. Besides for no sleeping for a year and a lawyer 130,000 rand. That's actually, the contract's just one big bluff, actually.
Question here, quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, well, poaching your guys is harder because there's a reason they don't have jobs, which is because they don't want jobs, right?
So poaching our guys is harder because we've pinned ourselves not as an employer of actuaries and just another job, but a lifestyle business for actuaries.
There's your differentiator, guys.
It's a good positioning.
Yeah.
There's your differentiator, and that's what you write your value proposition on, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. Sorry about that.
No, I love that stuff, you know.
Yeah, this is just exactly what I was kind of looking for, and that's exactly it.
And I'll explain now why. So now let's get into like up until this point, yes.
Before you move on, can you speak a little bit about, you mentioned as one of the risks, the quality, maintaining appropriate quality for clients. How do you do that? Like, either with existing actuaries in your system or actuaries coming in?
Okay, it's an excellent question. So, if we were a gig economy platform for freelancers,
yes,
and it was all transactional, and I must admit, in the first 6 months, that's kind of what it was.
It was, yeah. Okay.
I admit. That was the initial vision, and then I brought in the most technical actuary in the country and gave him a shot and made him the CEO. And he turned us into a consulting firm.
Okay. So he like sets the bar.
So what he did was, he took us from secondment. Oh, hey, I need a bum on a seat. You guys do actuaries, it's only for 3 months. Hey, that's us. There we go. You're there for 3 months. You work alone, in isolation, as a freelancer. We're just a gig economy platform. Go for it. Because that will always fail. We can't monitor the quality. We don't want those sorts of clients and that sort of work. So right at the beginning, when you're vetting the client, we want to do work with you, but don't treat us like a recruitment business that you just need a bum on a seat for 3 months. We want the client that would rather go to a big four because they got a project that's going to last a year where they need 7 people. That's the kind of stuff we want to look at. because the way that we want to treat the work that we need to do is like a consulting firm. Okay? It's an excellent question you're asking here, because it's going to take us exactly into the mega gig economy. So the reason why you can monitor it is because you're handling the client like a consulting firm. So we took everything that was good about the big consulting model and we kept it, and we took everything that we thought was bad and we got rid of it. So what's good? Okay, dear Mr. Client, this is what you need. Okay, we understand. Here's the proposal. It has phases. It has different levels. It has different timelines. We sketch the whole thing out for you. Okay? In phase 1, you are going to get a team of this person who's senior. They're only going to do 8 hours a week. You're going to do these mid-levels are going to be working flat out. So these 4 mid-levels are going to be working 160 hours a month, and this is what they're going to be doing, and this is their charge-out rate. And these juniors are just doing the data cleaning. We only need one person like that. This is the proposal on a spreadsheet. These are the deliverables. So now you have your proposal, our understanding of your needs, the scope of work to be done, our approach, the timelines, the breakdown, the costing per hour, the whole thing. Sign here. Okay, this is the proposal, not the terms of business. The master services agreement, it's different. Master services agreement is your procurement document to be on the preferred suppliers list. This is a proposal for that piece of work that's going to last 6 months or a year. But there's a team in there. That team has peer reviewers, different managers. It's handled like a firm would handle it.
It's built in, it's not just a bum on a seat.
It's not just a bum on a seat. You get, even if they only needed one person, we put 2 or 3 in there. Because the managers are watching what's going on to make sure that it's all being managed correctly, it's being watched. This is your typical consulting firm model, where you are making sure that that quality happens. All of a sudden, the client themselves disappears. Now the CEO comes to you, oh my God, we need you to slot in a manager at that level and help us run that whole department, please. Like our recruitment people, HR's not working. No problem. So what inevitably happens is we'll end up taking over departments inside a client. Consulting firm model, lean business, half the price, actuaries shared revenue, get most of the money. Brilliant. Works great. So you end up taking most of the market share away from the big consulting firms that are stuck. As I drove in here, I saw this huge building on the corner. Thought, brilliant. And we're actually bigger than them now. Why? Imagine how expensive that building is to run. Think of the fees that they have to load onto the proposals. It doesn't take a genius to work out that we can come in way cheaper because we don't have those offices. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff, the scrum.
The scrum. Just one quick question. So the new CEO came in.
Ah, yes. Right.
And then we were taking a little bit of pay. And his role was.
Okay. Now, don't forget.
This is important from a quality perspective.
There was no funding to fund a CEO to do what a CEO does.
Yeah.
How do you pull that off? Okay. So initially it was, he does IFRS 17, International Financial Reporting Standard 17. It's this reporting standard. All these insurers had to move from IFRS 4 to IFRS 17. I phoned him, hey, you want to join this consortium, even though he wasn't an independent. Okay, cool. He says, listen, your big money is in IFRS 17 for the next 5 years. Who's that? The hell's IFRS 17? Cool. He was the one that had sketched out the IFRS 17 roadmap for the biggest insurer in the country at another big consulting firm where he was like an associate director, but he was like very technical, not making any money, but he was the one that did all the work. IFRS 17, cool. So I phoned the one client. I said, we would like to run your IFRS 17 project. Is that? It's quite a bluff. Yeah, from A to Z, my friend. Well, why don't you come and see us? Sure. Hey, Johan, we got a hit. Let's go see them. Cool. Currently, Johan was on 750 an hour if you look at his rate at that company. Went to go see this company. Sat down, very professional, but I had to be honest with him. Johan's not with us yet. He's not an independent, but he's willing to resign. You haven't even started your project. He's been doing it for a year and a half. Rate, 1,500 an hour. He was probably being charged out at 4,000, 5,000, 4,500 rand an hour. Even though he was getting paid 750 at the other client. So this client knew what the rate would be for somebody at a big four to sketch that out. 1.5, that's a brilliant deal. He's got the experience, clearly. So you start to lean on the credibility of the people, because the people's experience is the brand, not the company. So you start to lean on the credibility of the people, which is unquestionable, because the brand doesn't exist yet. So they looked at it. 1.5's a great deal. Send me your proposal. He put the proposal together. They signed. And my deal with him was, if he comes across, initially it was just going to be a normal person. He was going to be head of banking. I said, they signed 1.5 an hour, but for 50% of his time. So instantly he got his entire salary for 50% of his time. So he resigned. Came to my house for dinner, and he moved across as a worker. Then we went back to the insurer he was currently working at, and we managed to wangle a deal with his current employer that they wouldn't put the restraint of trading because he was so important. So then we contracted him back at 1.5 for the other 50% to his same business, and we were able to muzzle the big insurer.
And get into that business.
And get into that business as well. So he was set, and the arrangement was, don't worry about the money. I don't need to take 1 cent.
You said?
I said to him, you take the full 1.5.
On both sides?
On both sides. So he doubled his salary overnight.
Quadrupled.
No.
He went from 750
They went from 750 to 1.5.
to 3.
No. So what happened was the one booked him for 50%,
right,
the other
right,
one booked him for
Yeah, but
50%.
I was-
He doubled his salary overnight. So the arrangement was that he needed to pay off his ex-wife, he needed to pay off his housing. I said to him, when you're ready, I'll start making money from you. It's cool, don't worry about it. You can survive. You're with me. We're generating revenue. We got a bit of a story going on here. I like the story. Don't worry about how much money I'm making. I started the business on 3 credit cards that got maxed out.
Why did you do this with him? Because you are.
No, there were other people already doing it. There were other people already in.
But you're also not taking the fee off.
No, he was special.
So what about him make you take this risk?
It's a great
It
question.
was not 17 specialists.
I'll tell you why. It's because as a recruiter, I had found a few diamonds.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the diamonds.
The experience.
No. After university, if you're doing an actuarial science degree, in your 3rd and potentially honors year, if you do well enough, you can get exempt from some of the 15 actuarial science exams. Which means that after your degree, you don't have to write 15 exams. You can get exempt from 10, you only need to write 5.
Sure.
He was exempt from like 13. And he qualified as an actuary within 1 year of finishing university. Very rare. Very rare. So you start to realize, like, a guy like that comes in. Okay.
But how, sorry, so then how do you know that because it sounds like you took a bet on him.
I did, yeah.
You-
Yeah, why did I take that bet on
Yeah.
him? Because when you're looking for a CEO, which I had been the whole of 2017, ex-managing director of one of the big firms who's now my friend, I've spoken, I offered him the job, I offered him 50%. He said no, he wants 75%. Okay. Spoke to him. I was trying to find a CEO. with all these older guys that knew what was going on. But they weren't accepting. So we went to market, and my wife said, why can't you just be the CEO? Because the actuaries need to look up to a CEO. It's all, it comes in here under, they have to trust the person that they're making the money from in order to like go to war with them. And they weren't going to do that with me.
Part of a culture as well.
It's a culture. It's all about culture. So then what happened? Yeah. So then what happened was, the bet I took with him was when I heard that his firm had sold a model, a banking model for R1 million, that he was going to build in 2 weeks, and he wasn't going to make 1 cent from it. I realized that the partners were making all the money and all the glory, and this oak was the gold. That's the oak you want in the business. So there's 2 approaches. You can either hire the same CEO from a different company at that same level, and your business will be like, it's less risky, but it'll kind of like flatten out because they have the experience. Or you can take on a bet on a younger person who's more technical, who will grow into the role and take your business to the next level, and that's exactly what he did.
So why do you think he wasn't partner at his old company if he was that?
He was too young.
Oh, okay, so it's age.
It was an age thing. Since then, he's been offered partnerships everywhere.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Okay, so the next part is actually the main part, and there's so much good stuff here. So let's.
Anybody want a 2-minute break? Body break?
The consortium. So, if we are going to open up a consortium, because I used to call it an organized collaborative. Okay, we're a collaborative, we're organized. That was like the word that I used to use. And then like somewhere along the line I heard the word consortium, and I think actually that sounds much sexier. Consortium, that's much better. You know, like you're building a road work. It's a consortium of different companies. It sounds a lot better than organized collaborative, which I actually always hated, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so I believe that this is the future of the corporate world, is consortiums operating as big corporates instead of corporate business models. Because when you get it right, like you can be as big as a big corporate, but you're a consortium. Just makes perfect sense. Everybody gets remunerated better. So my opinion is that this particular business model, if it's done well, can take over from the big corporates. Okay, so as a business,
Can I just ask you a question on that? Sorry.
Yeah.
So there's multiple functions within a business, right? And the way you're sort of positioning it is that it's about a business operating as a business, essentially, but not being a business. But lots of business functions don't have a start and end date.
don't have a?
A start and end date.
Yes, 100%.
Right. And so this model sort of speaks more to projects that do, I suppose.
Not always, because let's not forget on a monthly basis, you're invoicing, so you're invoicing on a monthly basis.
Right.
For that team, okay? But as part of the 18%, I'm doing most of the admin work. I'm doing the bookkeeping. I'm doing the marketing. So there is an 18%. So on a monthly basis, the team is handing in timesheets, and we're invoicing and we're getting paid.
Right.
So we get paid. We invoice, we get paid. Team splits the money. But the 18% is like for the company to take. Now, if there was a sales team, if there was an admin lady, a tea lady, or et cetera, and they did a certain amount of work, their commission would be part of the 18%. So a lot of the admin functions, your general business functions, would fall into the 18% as well.
Okay, maybe I'm not phrasing my question correctly.
Okay.
So I'm talking about your potential clients.
Yes.
They largely use you for fixed projects.
Yes.
From start date and end date.
Yes.
But I'm saying within businesses, because I think the comment you made earlier was you see business, this being like potentially how we would be doing business down
Yes.
the line. But let's take a typical operations function within a business. You're not typically going to outsource that part of your business to a project like this, or do you foresee that also being something? Because
Yeah. So is it operations for the client project or
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Definitely. So we don't only have actuaries working.
Okay.
We got software developers. Some of them are peer reviewers. Some of them are managers there purely from an operational perspective. They're running the weekly catch-up meetings. So what's happening is there is an operational function.
Yeah.
An actuary is doing it. They're in the project, but they're only billing for 3 hours that week because they were part of the operations team. It's on the timesheet.
Okay.
So depending on what functions need to happen to run that project, it's on the timesheet. Client's getting billed for it. But, and so the actuaries are working in those projects as some of them are, so there's various functions in there. It's not pure actuarial work. Very much business functions as well in those teams. Gets invoiced every month. So if you had a pure operational person, and we did initially, they could be working across 15 different projects, 2 hours here, 3 hours there, etc. On a timesheet, they would get paid 10 times a month.
Okay.
So it would add up. So they're a freelancer on all these other projects. It adds up because that's the contribution they're doing. Just because they're not working on one project doesn't mean that they're not making the same amount of money. They're spread across different projects. Okay, so that's how it works actually.
But sorry, just to build on that, for example, sort of a consumer brand, for example, is not going to hire a marketing consortium for a project to run the marketing department.
Oh yes, they are.
They are.
This is what we call the corporate brand world, which is the agency that you're saying would get this contract. The corporate, they would go to a corporate. But where they're actually going now is to the you as a brand world. They're going to the influencers. They're going to a consortium of influencers. Sure.
You put the marketing person in the like Dove's marketing director.
Dove's marketing director is not going to ABC Publishing anymore.
No, but you're not going to hire Dove's marketing director
Replace-
role as a consortium. There are going to be those
Oh, yeah,
permanent
yeah.
roles. I think that was your question.
Yeah, so
right?
what would happen is within the client they have their own staff that we work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So is that the point? So when I say we're going to take over from the corporate world, what I'm saying is we're taking over the agency world. So the agency works with clients. The clients have their own employees.
Yeah.
But the agency that Dove would go to is a corporate.
Yeah.
Our consortium is a publishing agency.
Yeah.
We're taking all the work away from the old school corporate agencies as a consortium agency.
Yeah.
So depending on the industry, you're still a business, you're still an agency, but instead of everybody being on salaries, everybody there is a commission earner. So you're a consortium. But you want to take away all the business from the agencies
Yeah.
and get all the clients. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, so I think it was just building on, so the entire form of big corporates are not going to collapse under the influence of the consortium. There are still going to be those permanent roles within companies who are almost bringing in the consortium teams, right?
So there's two things. The one is corporate client.
Yeah.
Corporate clients will always be there because they have their brand. They're the brand, they're the client. Clients will always have their corporate, their corporation.
Yeah.
But when I say we're going to take away the corporate world, what I'm talking about is there won't be any more agency corporates. The consortium corporates will take over. But in time, if done correctly, somebody that had worked at Dove for 30 years and understands where to source the product from, understands how the distribution channels work, understand how the marketing works, understand who deals with the agencies, could say, we could build a business like Dove as a consortium. We'll bring the same product, we'll call it Love. Not Dove, Dove's old school.
Windows and doors, guys.
Okay? And what happens all of a sudden on the shelves, we go shopping, I want to get Dove, and I see Love. Oh, this is nice. It's half the price. I like the look.
I like the name.
Interesting, huh?
I like the name.
I like the name. As a consumer, I take the product, I try it, feels the same. 1/4 moisturizer. They've got a third moisturizer. Oh, unbelievable.
No more clouds.
Third moisturizer at half the price.
So the main difference is you're beating your competitors on your overhead expenses.
On your overhead expenses and on your culture.
Okay.
So the one thing is,
The
It's
culture
very
thing
important,
is very important. Yeah.
culture's everything.
Because an agency could also like lean up their,
And drop their prices.
but the culture is something that's.
You want to beat them in every single part of their business. So let's go into
Yeah.
how do we beat them in every single part of their business. Another little topic I used to talk about is called breakthrough economics. And it basically says in every single part of your business, you want to beat the corporate in every single part of their business. And in that part of the business, you have to be not only better, your methodology has to be a breakthrough. It's so good. So you want to actually beat them in every single part of the business, from how you hire the people, to how you treat the people, to the technology that you use, to the expenses, to how you market the product. Every single thing has to be better for the corporate to even have a chance of slaying the giants. You want to slay the giants, you have to beat them in every part of the business, not just one part. Otherwise, it's not a competitive advantage. Okay. So, as a consortium, let's look at it from a business perspective and then from those that work in the business. Because remember, it's got two different things. One is I run the consortium, the other one is you work in the consortium. Okay? And the one thing is, the people in a consortium are not called employees. They're colleagues. We are equals. Remember I said, fourth industrial revolution, how we treat those that we work with, totally different. Love and sharing, revenue sharing, we are equals. Okay. So, let's look at it from a business perspective. The business, there's no need for salaries. Everybody's a commission earner. Okay, how do you bring them in? It's a long story, but basically everyone's a commission earner. Okay? There's no need for office space. Okay? There's no need for equity partners. Because the revenue sharing arrangement, don't worry about equity. Revenue sharing. You perform well, we'll be best friends for 20 years. Don't worry about what the business is valued at. Let's just make money together. So you're not stuck with equity partners, revenue sharing. Okay? But very importantly, you're not stuck with equity partners. You are now carrying shared responsibility. Because if we are going to go and get this client that's very difficult to get, I'm saying to you that if we do a brilliant job together, my business, our business will survive and you'll have all this ongoing work at 82%. So you share in the responsibility of not ripping that client off and keeping them as an ongoing retention client forever. We share the responsibility. It's a different mindset from a salaried employee who doesn't care what happens, I get my salary. It's a whole shift in thinking. Okay? Let's move on to, if you're an individual, why would you want to be in a consortium when you can work and get 100% of the money? The great question. Firstly, you have ongoing work. You've got somebody on the other side that's just shoveling projects and work. You don't have to worry about trying to market or trying to go to the bank or, okay, that's another thing, like running around. Just graft. Just enjoy the graft. Ongoing work. Very, 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 very importantly, you can lean on the expertise of your colleagues. You couldn't do that as an independent, as a freelancer. Because now you get this project, now you're dealing with the client, now you realize you've got a gap in your knowledge. If you're a freelancer, you're going to try and wing it. Oh, well, yeah, for sure I know that. Definitely, not losing the work. But you don't really have anybody you can lean on. So you can't scale because you can't get extra work if you're an independent. And you also can't lean on colleagues because you're not in a work environment, you're not in an employee environment where there's 10 people you can lean on. In a consortium there is. hey Tina, why don't you join the project? We actually need you. We're scaling it up. Now, this is very, very important. What's the draw card? What's the draw card for somebody to work with us in the consortium instead of
It's lifestyle, no?
lifestyle as well? Yes, exactly. So the lifestyle is work from home, the team's working, you've done your work for the day. Guys, I'm stepping out, I get it all the time on Slack. Guys, stepping out, going to yoga, doing my thing, cool. Be back in an hour, cool. Lacquer, go for it. Have a jaw. It's not 9 to 5, it's, you do that stuff. Some people are surfing in Indonesia for 6 months. Some people are traveling in Vietnam. But we pay them so well that they can go to a very respectable hotel. It's safe. The laptops are safe. They can graph during the day, or go shopping in the morning, work in the afternoon, go have dinner, come back, do another 2-3 hours. Unbelievable. Team's not getting let down. It's lifestyle, very much so. Okay, so why would they want to work with us instead of as a freelancer? You're just trying to get your rate as high as possible and you're trying to do 160 hours a month. It's limited, that is. Now, we created the incentivization system, which meant that the managers and the senior actuaries, instead of trying to ramp their earnings up as high as possible and do as many hours as possible, put their horse blinkers on, they don't care about the group, they don't care about their colleagues, they don't care about putting proposals together, growing globally. We say, we don't want you to only work on one client, but when that team underneath you is working, that you've put quite a big effort into getting them to a point where they're humming as a manager, the business will share its profit with you on those juniors. That's annuity income. So what you're saying is it's an instant partner model. If I manage this team, I will get paid for every hour that team is working.
So from your 18%?
Yes, but the mid-levels on the juniors are on a hybrid. They're not actually on 82%. Because their salaries are quite low. So we pay them commission sort of salary levels, because for them, they don't want the 82%. They want to get nerdy. They want to learn. They want to be sponges. So every consulting firm will make most of their money on the mid-levels and the juniors. 800% profit compared to what they pay them. Okay, but we still pay them double to what they would get paid anywhere else. It's not a bad deal. But we also charge them out at 500% or more. There's huge margins on the mid-levels and the juniors.
Yeah.
But those companies are making 5,000%. We're only making 500 or whatever. So that profit goes into the team's efficiency pool. So that at the end of the month, even though you only did 20 hours or 10 hours a month on that client, you were the manager, you ran the thing, you were smart, you nurtured somebody. They had banking experience, you taught them about general insurance pricing experience. The junior was happy because they got upskilled and nurtured. You're happy because you got another person to slot into that project. You get paid again for the team that's working underneath you. I can scale this. So instead of me working as an independent freelancer in the gig economy that's not going to go anywhere, I want to be part of the mega gig economy. I want to become a super manager that has teams working underneath me, that my expertise can run the show with. As a senior management team, I'll negotiate the pricing and the contracts and everything with the clients because they trust me as a senior manager. But the juniors will do the work. But I guarantee the quality as a manager, so I will make the money when the juniors are working.
How many of these guys have you got?
The managers or the juniors?
The managers. Plus minus. Don't have to give these.
25, 30.
Okay.
It's like half, sort of, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. Okay. So, what we've created here, so this is the revenue. So now the revenue sharing model takes shape. Because it's actually not just about the 82%, but the managers start to realize that the company is willing to share the profits with them. So that's the reason why people don't want to leave us. Because they're now earning 4 times what they used to earn when they were a salaried employee, and significantly more than if they were an independent, with an annuity type income as long as the projects are running. Plus, if they have business development ability and they can bring the client in, we split the profit with them again. People are, that's why it's not 29% anymore. Now it's like 40% tax. So they're earning so much money. Revenue sharing. So the mega gig economy, and I'll give you a quick example. Let's say you as a team of 7 work colleagues wanted to go to Indonesia on a business trip for 7 days. And this is your itinerary. And now you need drivers. Are you going to go to a travel agency? Probably. How do you get drivers? Imagine you could go to Uber, which is a gig economy platform. Very transactional. Said, oh, Uber's got a mega gig. Here's the itinerary. You make sure those 10 drivers are chasing us around for the next 7 days. And at the end of the trip, we just want to pay Uber one price, one invoice. So not even Uber or Fiverr or Upwork, who are gig economy platforms, are even coming close to running a mega gig, because they don't have teams of people working together. They will in the mega gig once it becomes more understood. So that's actually the mega gig, is freelancers working together in these large projects, very organized. Client pays one invoice. Beautiful. Like a corporation. Okay, so this entire system is self-governing. Why? Because you're not salaried employees. You're invited constantly into the next project as a commission earner. So the whole thing's self-governing as part of the mega gig, which means that if people don't enjoy working with you, you're not going to get invited into the next project. People love working with you, you're going to get invited into the next project. Your reviews will just skyrocket. Okay? Inefficient are not invited to continue. So it's a self-governing system. So you start to get to a point where only the best of the best are continually invited to carry on with the system. It's actually self-governing because you're not salaried employees. It's all about commission. If I don't enjoy working with you, I'm going to tell people. If I don't enjoy the junior, you start to...
Sorry, I was going to wait for you to...
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a limit to how big your company can... Because I think, I love the sort of self-governing. Uber was meant to be self-governing, right? And they were just too big, and fine, they're not professional.
It's a great question. So at the moment, we're doing about 120 million in revenue. We've got about 80 projects on the go, spread across different countries. It's somewhat manageable. But it cannot get to that next point until we have a piece of tech, software, which is our vitality system for the consulting world. Our incentivization model that incentivizes with your dashboard. It says, these are the projects I have on the go, these are the timelines, this is how much I've earned, this is what's going on. The client wants to know, where are we today on the team? Very, very complicated to get another 100 clients in one day if you have an unbelievable marketing campaign. So we are busy building that right now. At the moment, it's manageable with very sophisticated Excel models and Google Sheets. How do you split the money? What do we charge the client? Timesheets with Toggle and Python code to try and work out at the touch of a button, which is where it's at the moment. Where are we on this project right now? Who earned what? How do we split the money? It's been 6 years of development already to get to this point. So we're doing actually a combined build with our own system. We also have software developers that build insurtech and fintech. That's a whole other conversation. We're actually a software business, not just consultants. We've been building the most sophisticated insurtech and fintech you've ever seen. Okay, it's a long conversation to have, but we're actually a software business. But then on the other side is the management consulting tool to scale, which is working with Google Sheets and all these models that these actuaries have built. How do we split the money? Johan built it. But we also have another company building it in a tech stack. But because we have the revenue, we can afford to pay for it ourselves, the build, instead of getting a funder to build the product. And that's the only way we can scale. In fact, we're trying not to take on clients at the moment. Great question. You can't scale without the tech. But once we build the tech and the product, which is called, the product is called Mega Gig. You'll be able to white label it for them.
That's exactly the question I was about to say.
Yeah.
Will you be able to white label this?
We'll be able to white label it.
In any
industry.
Professional services or services?
Even even if you were building hats, you would be able to put everybody on the production line inside the commission. From the person that has the factory, the warehouse that you're warehousing, that gets a commission on every hat sold. So you'd be able to compartmentalize everybody that contributes to an order to say, what is your fee on this order? That's how much that's your dashboard. That's how much you've earned. So we didn't pay you for the warehouse, but we need the warehouse. So therefore we'll have a revenue sharing arrangement. We'll use your warehouse, and for every hat that gets sold, you'll get R1. That's a great deal. But you have to be able to monitor the revenue sharing through the Mega Gig. Okay.
So it's technology that ultimately ensures compliance to the culture that exists within the organization and gets people all aligned and keep them focused on their performance and how that impacts on that particular culture.
So the technology doesn't monitor the culture, it just manages from a transactional perspective the work itself and the hours.
Sure.
The culture's totally different. The culture's Slack, the culture's Zoom, the culture.
But the incentivization system that you spoke of earlier, where hey, if this guy doesn't perform, he's not getting advice. I mean, ultimately, that'll be taken over by the.
Yes, it will. It will be taken over, exactly.
And that's part and integral of the culture of the organization.
Eventually, yes. Plus, if somebody has a gap in certain skills, somebody picked up that they were a bit short, then the whole academy side of things will be able to flag to say, you've been invited to do this course.
So there's an LMS element to that, a learning management system.
You would need to have, there's a wellness system, people's mental health, a full HR function. So where management consulting software at the moment is all that stuff. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Because it's all that stuff and payroll.
So assume
So
actually
ours would blend the two.
Then you go through a CPD process as well, right?
What's CPD?
Professional development.
Definitely.
So would that be integral to your LMS, or would that be separate?
Has to be.
You'd have to.
Right.
The whole thing would work on a review system.
Professional
Yeah. Would be have to be
situation
integral
to
to
keep
the
your license.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying in
Yeah.
this particular piece of software,
Yeah.
it would make sense to include the CPD components
Definitely.
within that.
100%, definitely. Okay, so now, interesting, it's the next question. How do you inspire people to join the consortium? Okay, so that's a very, like, why join? So the key is really, so now we go back to the softer side of things. Because I say, sounds cool, sounds interesting, I want to run a consortium, but like, how do I get people to want to join me? Okay, so these are like softer skills. Okay, cool. It's not about the product, it's not about the business model. You have to, it says here, what is the vision of the business? Where are we going? So when you start talking to people about the consortium, about servicing that industry, you better have a great answer for that question. Where are we going? So I'm saying, if you join me, you'll be able to make money when everyone else is working as a manager. The lifestyle business, I'll pay you way more than everybody else. We'll get global clients. And in time, we'll have software that can do your work for you. You'll still make that money. You can spend your time with your children. You want to join? What you going to say? if you can pull it off, buddy, let's get going. It's a lot better than increase profit share 5% more than last year so that you can get your 15% bonus. How does that sound? That sounds good. So where's the business going?
Do you have to be concerned at all with like diversity in your recruitment process? Like,
Definitely, 100%. Definitely. I mean, you know, one day you get called to a hearing, you better have some good answers.
So your organization as a consortium is still subject to those kind of regulations?
Yeah, don't forget that any corporate client that hires you as a business wants to know what is your diversity status. Tell us about your enterprise risk management. It's an 85-page document.
Yeah, because when you were speaking earlier about peers reviewing themselves and only keeping in people who they enjoy working with, that can be very positive. It can be very if it's kept as a purely work performance based. But if you have like cliques forming or groups forming that aren't necessarily related to.
Right. So, firstly, there's a lot of sensitivities. Okay. Now, one of the things I've got here is that
I think we've got about 15 minutes max.
it is an organized collaborative. It's not just a collaborative. Very important point. If it was just a collaborative, you get cliques, you get politics, stuff creeping into it. Poison. Cancer will destroy the business from within. That's corporate world, climbing the corporate ladder. This is a meritocracy. This is a meritocracy. What does that mean? It means that people progress based on their merit. The way that they treat people and the quality of their work. And it is called an organized collaborative because the senior managers have to make sure that there's no favoritism happening. Because you could build all of this and favoritism comes in, then people start getting sidelined.
Yeah.
Can't have that. So it's a fantastic point, and it's the reason why the word organized is in an organized collaborative. A sense of fairness in the work to be distributed, and also how people are, and also how people treat each other. So as soon as you pick that stuff up, you have to like squash, because it can destroy the whole thing. So it has to be all about fairness. Okay, so how do you inspire people to join? You have to have a great story to join the consortium. How do you manage the work? How do you work out how to split the money? With very, very, very sophisticated Excel models. Very, very difficult. Luckily, Johannes built them, that when the client pays. So the deal that we have is that you'll join the business. You're only going to get paid when we get paid. Which means that at the end of the month, when we issue the timesheets, everybody is incentivized that the client is going to okay the timesheet, because we have a shared responsibility. You can't just ramp up your hours. So the whole culture is, on a weekly basis, when you're meeting with the clients, you have to be keeping them up to date, because we all want the client to pay at the end of the month, and you issue the invoice. Then, because you're never going to take over the corporate world as a mega gig if people that join the business don't feel when they're getting paid like it's a salary. I've got a house, I've got a bond, children, I get it. So therefore, the business, the consortium, which is a business, has to have exceptionally professional contracts in place. It has to maneuver a 7-day after invoice payment term with the clients. And I get that question all the time at the procurement stage. And I say to the director, you're going to pass me on to procurement, just want to let you know, they're going to send me a document, it's going to say pay after 30 or 60 days. I'm going to flag that and I'm going to take it down to 7. And if you don't accept that, all this cool stuff that I told you we're going to do for you with software, efficiency and culture, half the price, will be gone. We'll walk away.
Jeez.
So if you don't accept our 7-day payment term, go pay triple the price at half the value. Go for it. You have to be willing to walk away. And they pass it through every single time. So then, at the end of the month when we invoice, and you get paid, and the money comes in, now you work, you get paid on the 10th of the month. Respectable. Love this business. It feels like a business. They're not carrying the risk. It's because the management put the whole structure together like a corporate. You see, so it's this huge incentivization model, but you have to be paid on time. Otherwise, I love it, like it's all cool, sounds romantic, but like I like to get paid. You know? Okay. So, getting paid shortly after invoice, it must feel like a salary. So if you're going to open a venture, and you're going to say we're going to have this consortium, you better have people in the business that put together unbelievable contracts with the client, master service agreement with great payment terms, unbelievable contracts with those that join the business, that basically says if you join the business, it's a contract by contract. There's restraint of trade. You can't just walk away with the client, because you can't have somebody come in and then they take 5 clients or 10 people and they leave, and then people say, but this is my livelihood. Surely there's restrictions. There are restrictions. They can't just do that. They're contractually bound. So the whole thing has to be so organized, because if it's not organized, you're never going to land the big corporate clients. Because that's what it's about, isn't it? This is not a little bunch of schoolboys and girls that are putting together a little business. That's fun. Yeah, it's a great idea. You're looking to be the biggest corporate globally in your market. Isn't that like why we're here? Isn't that the whole point? It's not like schoolboy stuff. So your contracts have to be tight, organized. When people join, they get a 30-page contract. When they work, they get paid. So you have to think about all that stuff. Otherwise, people are not going to want to join your business. Now.
So
Okay.
sorry, just on that, did you start off with like a legal team getting all of these sort of upfront, or did they develop as you developed?
Look, I didn't get an LLB, but I was the legal team.
Okay.
So what happened was, I managed to hustle a terms of business from one of the big consulting firms. And then I spent about 2 weeks changing every 3rd word. And then I sent it to a word contract lawyer who sent it back. So the structure of the contract was similar, but like, you know, it like, you would never be able to say. So it had to have like, and that was a difficult contract. So these days with ChatGPT, you know, or templates on the internet, you can find, so you have to have contracts in place with clients, contracts in place with actuaries ready to join, bank details, tax clearance, ready to go, BE certificates, etc. Only then do you start phoning the clients, because you got the team, you know, you call the bluff, they call your bluff, you know, and then work starts, proposal goes through, end of the month, you invoice, you get paid very quickly. And so you have to be super organized. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Okay. Also our last slide. So what is the future of work? In my opinion, at least. Fancy AI, big buildings, mega gig economy, robots, plug me in. Way simpler than that. Way simpler than that. People working from home in these little pods. Could be a room, could be a pod in a room, whatever it is, their little workstation. Their workstation, from a technology perspective, is plugged into the global economy. You've got Bob over here, he's a family man, whatever your preference is. Okay? Maybe he's not a family man, maybe he's got 5 wives, whatever your preference is. It doesn't make a difference to me. He works from home. Okay? He's not in a huge building. His technology is connected to the internet, he works. But how does Bob pull it off? How does he pull it off in the mega gig economy? What's the story? What's the term I'm looking for here? Term I'm looking for is flash teams. Flash teams. Inside.
Teams.
Flash teams.
Got it.
That work inside the mega gig economy. Because the mega gig economy is an ecosystem. Where people, clients connect, actuaries connect, that everyone gets paid. It's an ecosystem like YouTube. It's an ecosystem. Digital content creators all work for free on commission. They don't go to a channel and try and get a show pilot sponsored for 13 episodes. I got signed. No, they create the content themselves from a commission perspective. They go to the ecosystem. They are a flash team. The client needs that flash team because they want to consume. As far as YouTube is, they're viewing. And the advertisers piggyback on the whole thing. But if we look at what are flash teams, a consulting firm is a flash team. It's not in-house people that work at the client. I need a team in a flash. Dun, 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 dun. They come in, we talk about it, we put a proposal together. The next minute, your flash team's working. Deliverables, perfect. I haven't committed to them as a company. Okay? They came in the flash, project's over, I paid them, they're out in a flash. Perfect. Oh, client's got the next project and the next project. So flash teams are freelancers working together, creating a flash team, being able to rely on other flash teams. Everybody is not hired from a full-time perspective by everybody else, but everyone's tapping into everybody else. So these flash teams grow and they become dynamic and they go up and down and they can scale. And as a freelancer, you want to be part of an ecosystem where you run flash teams and you're part of other flash teams. And as the work comes in your dashboard, you're able to plug in and deploy your flash teams and they can scale up and scale down. And nobody's stuck with anybody. It's a meritocracy. And you only get invited based on your contribution. And that's what the mega gig economy is these flash teams coming and going. And in essence, a flash team could be forever at a client. They're just on an extended stay. But that's what it's about, is as a person launching a business, you want to create that ecosystem as a business model, where the people you're tapping into are commission earners that you don't have to commit to, but it's a shared revenue arrangement. We do well together, we grow together forever, but it's organized. You don't just let anybody in, it's not a free-for-all. So if you can run that correctly, you can be a corporate with these little flash teams floating and buzzing around. But from a culture perspective, you don't ever make people feel like they're at risk. You've got to have to make them feel like they're part of this like lifestyle business forever. That's going to grow together forever. And in my opinion, that's what the mega gig economy is. We run our business as a mega gig economy, and yeah, and then there's software that will make us into a SaaS business, mega gig flash economy business. That's like the story, eh? I know it sounds weird, eh? And crazy, and I hope I didn't freak anybody out.
I think it's fantastic. Thoughts, guys? One or two final questions.
Just ask a question. So, and what thought have you given to expanding laterally in the sense of being able to add additional capabilities to your organization to provide complementary services? So you've obviously found a gap in the market, which you've done an incredible job at growing into. But of course, I'm sure there's other complementary things coming across your bow that you aren't able to respond to at this point. What are your plans to do that?
Yeah, so the clients are insurers and banks and reinsurers. So actuaries doing actuary stuff. But we've also got quite an extensive data team and software development engineering team that builds software tools. So now we're dealing with their entire data lake and their entire distribution channel and all the tools that they're using to have management reports. So that's not an actuary job anymore. This is a data, can you help us run our business function? So we've already expanded into that. So ultimately, there's two parts to the question. The one is within insurers and banks, and the other one is, great system, why can't you also offer them CAs? Why can't you also offer them salespeople? It's because it takes time. It takes time. You don't want to spread yourself too thin. You kind of like want to be the best at something, and then the client's like, otherwise, like you stuff up once, you give them one bad salesperson that like jukes the system. So it takes time, but in essence, what you want to do is once you get into that client with software, you want to become their ongoing team across various functions. And then of course, like now, we just pitched a mining company to run their analytics, quite a big global one. So we're also venturing into different types of clients that are not insurance and banking, now it's mining.
Who's going to run that?
So the data team, data analytics team.
Okay.
There's quite a big crossover now. They want to like, so this is a different part of actuarial science known as enterprise risk management, which is completely different to banking, or so it's risk management.
Yeah.
Totally different. It's like, what should we pay for this bolt?
Yeah.
Should we rent them? Should we buy them? Should we have them made? How many do you have? So it's like, you know, so there's quite a lot of analytics here. So it's yeah, so you do, but in time. It takes time.
Thoughts, guys? Any final? Are we good?
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Adi, thank you so much for a very inspiring talk. I think questions after 9 p.m. on a Monday is evidence enough of how good it
It's
was.
unseen in a business school.
We really appreciate it, and thank you so much for taking the time today.
Unbelievable. Can we get a photo? Can we get a photo? Because, hold on.
We've got to get a photo.
No, just of that, because what happened was, like my GoPro, I don't think it worked. Can someone take a photo? Can you
Of
take a
course,
photo?
you must.
Please. Because, and my wife, you should have seen how proud she was that, like, my husband, the professor, you know what I mean?
Should I speak again
The
for
screen back
And
on
then,
the
it's
page,
so good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. You've completely reconstructed my thinking of a lean organization, and approaching the business from a profitable perspective. You've taken that to a completely different level. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's opened up our eyes. Well done, Adi. You got the, yeah, that's better.
Get the name out. 100%. A little more smiling.